Hi, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the most important aspect of my PhD for the next few months, which is the lab work section of my PhD. One of the key aspects of getting lab work right and making sure that you're resourceful with your time is planning, and one of the things that the university forces you to do, quite rightly, is to plan your whole PhD within the first 6 months. So you write a big literature review, and you also write a plan of your methods that you're intending to use as well, and why your PhD project is important and valuable. So one of the key things to focus on was the lab work in this section, and when I had to give this proposal and present for 20 minutes to a panel, and they would then give me feedback and point out bits that could be improved or bits that were good, and this was really helpful for me and really allowed me to get some good feedback and understand the best way to move forward with my lab work. I know that it was more likely to be successful. Because I've got so much lab work to do, both using different instruments and different techniques that I've never used before, and because the science is quite complicated, it's impossible for me to cover that in this 5-minute video. So I'm just going to try and give a general overview of the kind of things I do in the lab that might be more useful to a wider audience, and give some background around the planning and the time spent in the lab. Hi, and welcome to my office. As you can see, I'm right next to the sink and the fridge, so I've got the best desk in the whole office, and as always my desk is a complete mess. So here's the office, and in total I share with 6 people, which is a good amount of people. There's always someone to talk to. Well, normally there's someone to talk to, but it's not too distracting as I've seen with other offices, which are big open plan ones, where plenty of people come and go. One of the other good things about this lab is that about this office is that it's located right next to the lab, which you can see through there, and that's the environmental chemistry lab, where I've spent quite a lot of time already and will undoubtedly spend plenty of time yet in the rest of my PhD. So I'll now go and show you one of the other labs, because I'm going to use and spend time in several different labs, and this other lab is pretty important. It's got 2 instruments that are going to be really pivotal for my whole PhD. So this is another lab where I'll be spending a lot of time. It's got 2 instruments that are quite important to my PhD project, and before I get into that I'd just like to show you this, which is a speediothem sample which has been removed from the cave. This is a flowstone sample from Wirral in the North Island, and I'd also like to show you something which I made earlier, which is this sample here. And we don't know how old this sample is yet, but we know that some of the samples are dated to around 100,000 years old at the base. So this is a speediothem sample as well that's been encased in resin and polished, and we hope to tell the amounts of dissolved organic carbon through time. So you see all these colour changes, and they will correspond to the amount of dissolved organic carbon in the sample. So it tells us about the fluorescence of the sample, and fluorescence is a good indicator of the characteristics, so what actually makes up the dissolved organic carbon in the sample. And we've also got this total organic carbon analyzer, which tells us about the amount of organic carbon, and we hope to understand how that has obviously changed through time over the past 1,000 years or so. So it's a good idea, I think, to mix up lab work and spend different amounts of time in different labs, because sometimes you can get a bit overwhelmed and a little bit bored of doing the same thing, and luckily for me I've got quite a large array of lab work to do. So when I'm not in the environmental chemistry lab next to my office, I can come here and do some samples, and there are also a couple of other labs where I can spend my time as well. So I'll probably be spending a lot of time in the lab, probably 20 or 30 hours a week in the lab over the next 6 to 12 months, and then when I start to get a lot of my data back, I guess I'll start working on it, analysing it, and trying to write and publish some papers. In the next video I'll be talking about some of the challenges that I'll face with regards to trying to publish, for example, and I'll also talk about how I think that I can make myself more employable throughout my PhD.